All right, then let's begin. So could you tell me your full name, please?
So my name is Hyunwoo Ko, but you can call me James as my English name. That's more comfortable than saying my Korean name.
Okay.
And I was born in 2003, October 21st. And I was born in Busan first, but then I came back to Suwon, and that's where I grew up.
Okay. And are you working or are you a student?
I'm currently a student who's looking for a part-time job right now. As of right now, I'm jobless.
Okay. And could you tell me what you like to do in your free time?
I usually sleep a lot in my free time because recently I've been taking meds, pills recently that make me feel tired a lot. So I tend to sleep a lot during the afternoon, and yeah, that's about it.
Okay. So now we're going to talk about the internet. So when did you start using the internet?
I started using the internet when I was 7 years old, specifically a Nintendo DS, which widened my view of the internet itself. And the first time I used my PC was practically seventh grade back in Brazil, which was not the most comfortable experience, but it grew up to me, and this is what I have right now.
And how often do you use the internet these days?
A lot, actually, because nowadays I tend to spend time more on the internet rather than going outside and touching grass and, playing around in parks, because I'm not a real fan of doing outdoor stuff. I just tend to do indoor stuff more than outdoor stuff.
Okay. And do you think people spend too much time online these days?
In my personal opinion, yes, they do spend a lot more time online than offline, because nowadays you can do more things online than offline, such as shopping, playing games with people, and interacting in general. And also, I believe it's more comfortable to, just click on keyboards rather than to actually do something with hands, like making stuff or writing down poems, books, stories, such as that.
Okay. And what would your life be like without the internet?
Oh, it would be very painful without the internet. It's practically a compass for me. It's like using a compass when I'm stuck on the internet. But when I don't have my compass, it's very frustrating, and I can't usually find my way to my answers. And I feel like I get lost more often.
Okay. Now let's talk about breakfast. So what do you usually eat for breakfast?
I usually eat vegetables first, because it's more of a diet, I guess, that I usually do. I don't usually eat meat or any grains in the morning, because it makes you, it has high calories more than, vegetables. And so I decided to eat carrots, cucumbers, anything that has more fiber than, grain and meat.
And are there any differences between the mornings of your childhood and your mornings these days?
Oh, it became a lot more different. I used to eat more grains back when I was a kid, like such as bread, rice, pastas, you name it. But when I grew up to become the me I became today, I tend to eat more vegetables, like carrots, cucumbers, like I said earlier. And that's what I personally think is more healthier than eating bread or rice.
Okay. Okay, that'll do us for part 1. We'll go on to part 2 now. I'll give you your question. So there's your question. I'll give you a pencil as well. So yeah, now you can have 1 minute to do some note taking. All right, so you can begin. All right, mate, that's 1 minute now.
Okay.
Okay, so could you describe a person who thinks music is important?
I would describe my father, who isn't really specialized in music, but he does enjoy music a lot. He likes wide variety of music, from electronic dance musics or EDM to classic jazz or even classic musics itself. And they think it makes sound part of the art category, because just with normal sounds you don't really get any inspirations or anything inspiring in general. But when you add sound with another sound, it becomes a music, and it's what makes sound interesting, and it's what makes sound part of the art category itself. It makes itself unique in general. Yeah, and to be honest, I feel like he does know what music is all about. He's just not very interested in making music itself, because there are already astounding artists that make music out of any type of sounds. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I believe.
Okay, perfect. Do you sometimes listen to music together?
Yes, we sometimes listen to music together. I prefer to listen to EDMs, but my dad prefers to listen to jazz.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let's go on to part 3 now. Let's keep going.
Okay.
Okay. So what do you think about teachers playing music for their students in class?
I say it's a very situational thing, because sometimes music isn't always great when it comes down to writing or taking tests, because music can sometimes distract you from focusing on one specific thing. But in other times, music can be something that can draw attention to students, especially when you're doing a subject that most people can't understand. You add music, you add other elements, you mix them up, and then they become something interesting. They become something that people can pay attention towards, and I believe it all comes down to when you're using the music.
And do you think it's common for teachers in your country to use music in the classroom?
No, not really. When it comes down to business, I don't believe music helps a lot in general. However, when it comes down to art classes, music can be part of what your artwork is going to be about. So sometimes it can be the whole inspiration. Sometimes it can just be a optional element, and sometimes it can be something that is crucial to your artwork. It can be a message itself.
Okay. And do you think there are any advantages to a store playing music?
I think there are plenty of advantages, because sometimes when you walk around the streets, you can hear musics. They sometimes attract people. They sometimes bring, they also promote the music in some way, which is kind of part of the marketing strategy. And I believe that's a way to bring people's attention to music and the products they're promoting.
Yes, yes. And do you think that affects customers' behavior?
Yeah, depending on what type of music they're using. If they're in a cafe, a soothing sound like jazz or any lo-fi music would probably fit well with cafes. But other times when you're in an arcade or when you're in a mall, something bright or something very, how do I say this? It's hard to explain, but something very exciting, I would say. If it's a very exciting music would fit well with that kind of places. And it's not always about like high tension music that gets people's attention, but it's also sometimes low soothing musics that attract people.
Yes. And do you think music education is important in your country?
For people interested in music, I believe it's very crucial because music is part of what makes sound art itself, and it brings many different sounds together to create a specific song that contains a message. And I believe those messages can be sent around the world internationally, and those messages then would spread to people, and it will bring attention to whatever it's trying to express.
Okay, perfect. That'll do us for part 3. All done. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so yeah, let's start with the feedback. So obviously a very good test. I would say your score would be in the 8.5 category today. Yeah, obviously pronunciation and fluency are very strong. Also grammar, there's only like a few small errors that I'll bring you through. In part 2, it could have been a little clearer, I think, and you spoke for about 1 minute and 20 seconds. So in the real test, I would say try to continue speaking for the full 2 minutes if you can. In terms of grammar errors, small ones, right? When we talked about the internet, you said you didn't like it at first, but it grew up to me. It grew up to me. The expression is grew on me. It grew on me. Yeah. When something that you didn't like initially and you started to enjoy, it grew on me. It grew on me. When I asked you the question about your morning routine, is it different from the past and now? I think you said it became a lot more different. I would say it's better to say it has become, because you're talking about until now. So you should use the present perfect tense. It has become very different, right? One small mistake was like more healthier, obviously just healthier, right? What are we talking? Right, in part 2 then, just make sure music is an uncountable noun.
No.
Right, so you cannot say musics, you say music. For example, one sentence, you said it becomes music. To correct that, you would say it becomes a piece of music. So yeah, a piece of music is countable.
Just like piece of art.
Yeah, a piece of art, a piece of music, yes. So yeah, obviously songs are countable. You know, you can say I listened to a few songs, but music is always uncountable. What do we see? Part 3, yeah, it was very clear now, good answers. One time you said it's very crucial. Crucial is not a gradable adjective, so just it's crucial. It's crucial, right? One thing I liked as well, when when I asked you a question and you were searching for one word, you didn't panic. You were just like, oh, how do I say this? It's hard to explain. I think that's something that students should also do during the test. So that was good. So yeah, overall, good test. Thank you.
Thank you very much.